Well, hello everybody. Mike Westphal here at McDonald Garden Center, and today we're going to be decking the halls. So what does that mean? We're going to decorate our homes for the holiday season. It's an amazing time to get into your home and pull out those decorations, and that's what we're talking about today, is how to decorate, and I'm going to give you lots of tips and tricks along the way. It's time to pull out your decorations. It's one of my favorite times of the year. You go and you pull out all those big Rubbermaid containers and you start to sort through everything and see what you need and what you have. Hello, Deborah. And then, it's kind of a good time to come into the garden center and shop around and see what you might need. Typically you can go out and find great holiday decorations starting in November, and it's a great time to kind of see what you might need. Is it a wreath? Is it a garland? Do you need ornaments? And start to think about the different kind of themes or looks that you might want to have. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to decorate. And I've got a bunch of tips and tricks that I've learned over almost 20 years here at McDonald Garden Center that I can help you decorate your home for the holiday season. And at the end, I'm actually going to do a little tablescape here so that you can see. Hey, Barbara from Sandbridge, great. Come in and see us. So we're gonna do some actual demonstrations. I'm gonna show you a couple different things. I'm gonna go through a lot of different things. So we're gonna kind of roll as fast as I possibly can, but fire away if you've got questions or anything as we go along. What I wanted to do first, hey Roberta, in Norfolk, great. The first thing I want to do is go through just a couple examples, just to get our wheels turning, our brain thing. And this is what I like to do, whether I'm doing a landscape or I'm doing containers, porch pots. Anytime I go to kind of decorate or do something artistic, creative, I love to go out and just kind of see images, because I think it really helps get my creative side going. So I just pulled some images of just some holiday decorations in homes. This is a bedroom setting. Hey, Donna from Virginia Beach, great. Thanks for joining. So here's just a great little simple kind of modern, very minimalist look. It's really cool. You can do lots of different things, adding textures. We're going to talk a lot about adding textures and different types of elements to your home. Natural looking. Doesn't always have to be kind of big and bold. It can be, and I'll show you some examples, and we'll do something like that. But I love, using like a wicker basket or an oversized kind of hamper that you can put a tree in. You can do so many different things, add different elements in your home. This is a great kind of night scene, something where you can sit in a window. You've got lights from outside if you live in an apartment. It could be any size home. It doesn't have to be a big home. You can do these in small spaces. You can do them all throughout the home. I think a lot of us kind of focus on our family rooms where we're spending a lot of time. And of course, I want you to put your tree there, that you have all your collection of ornaments on. But also, think about decorating different areas of your home. This looks like it's close to their kind of, a big window that they can see outside. You got lots of lights. They've hung a star up. They've got those gold and cream kind of tones. And then they've added it to the tree to kind of, bring it all together. So we'll talk a lot about matching, but we'll also talk about trying to be asymmetrical and symmetrical and how you can kind of implement both of those. So here we've got a great look. You can't see quite behind me, but we've got a couple small trees, which is a great way to kind of play with height, is to bring something small, don't always have to be symmetrical. You see this kind of fireplace, this kind of fake fireplace that they've got set up here. And we've got candles that are two different sizes. We've got a gorgeous mantelpiece there with a great mirror, but a really nice setup that matches and pairs with the tree. And then, of course, putting some faux packages, some packages that are just kind of, really wrapped to represent maybe a look of a tree is a great touch that you can add. So there's small little things, and we'll talk about that a lot as we go through there. Hey, Debbie from Kempsville, good morning. We'll talk about all those different smaller elements that you can add, because I think it's just a really simple way to just add a little bit of that kind of decorator's touch. Again, a little bit more minimalist, a little more modern, adding textiles like pillows and throws. And then what I love is this tree over here. You can see that tree just has a slightly different dimension to it. And that's just done by what I think a lot of us don't do, which is adding lights. So that's a lifelike tree that's already pre-lit. And they went and just added that simple string light, and they didn't really tuck it in, or it's almost wrapped. So you can see that kind of, it's what I would call like a micro LED light. And it's just a great touch that just adds a little bit of that almost kind of garland effect throughout the tree. So lots of cool examples out there. Again, I'm just kind of trying to get my mind rolling and get some ideas out there. Another great setting, a very traditional setting, here with this great tree. And you can see what trees look like at night. They're just absolutely amazing. There's nothing better than once you get your tree set up and it's all decorated and you get to sit down and enjoy the light from the tree. And there's nothing better than a lifelike artificial tree. I really love them. Pre-lit trees are easy to set up these days and you can get a lot of benefits. I'm going to show you how to shape one here in a little bit. But just another great look. Here's another traditional setup. I love, taking something like a fireplace behind me and just putting something simple in front of it that can be moved easily if you use your fireplace, but something that maybe goes back in front, like this big poinsettia that they've got set up there. Again, using textiles and different types of fabrics around the home just to add a little bit of that Christmas color. It could be plaids, it could be red, it could be greens, it could be lots of different colors. And then a simple kind of traditional tree over in the corner. Here's another one, a little bit more modern. Great for like a guest bedroom kind of look, simple. I love these floating shelves that they've got over here. They're bringing in that nature, that kind of Scandinavian look, where you've got some wood elements and then you've got that just glitzy glamour of those big garlands across those floating shelves with candles and accents and some Christmas decor. And think about everyday decor. I definitely recommend that. There's a lot of things that you can have in your everyday life that you can bring out or change and manipulate to work for you during the Christmas season. So if you're doing kind of a coastal look, we have a lot of coastal elements in our homes in the Virginia Beach area and in the Hampton Roads area. So, don't pack away all of your everyday decor. Think about how you can use it in your Christmas look. Another great kind of Scandinavian / natural / kind of frosty cabin look. Love this, that simple little light garland. You would think put it on top of the mantelpiece. I love how they used it and thought outside of the box and just put it right underneath. It gives that kind of second dimension, kind of breaks those stockings off of that fireplace, and then lots of different candles mixed up on top of the mantle, and then love a flocked tree. Just a simple flocked tree with some red ornaments. It's not going to take you a ton of time to decorate it, and it looks really, really good. So you can use this around the home. It doesn't have to be in your family room. I've got, 4 or 5 trees now. So really easy to do, and it doesn't have to be like our typical trees where you see tons and tons of ornaments packed on it. And here's the last one. So this is going kind of over the top, right? And you can do that, and it's actually pretty easy because a lot of us have collected things. The only thing that I probably would do for this is those white stockings on a white fireplace. Really looks great, but maybe just adding a little simple green touch to that. Just using a little lifelike pick just to put inside the stocking until it's Christmas morning. And then of course, you got logs, so you bring in that natural and that huge, huge garland that's just encompassing that entire mantelpiece is a really great way to add really like bulkiness to a big area. Got a big tree, lots of ornaments, and it's just a great kind of simple way, and that natural packaging really looks good too. So let's be done with that. We've got our wheels turning, we've got our wheels spinning, we're thinking, we're getting creative. Now let's talk about some basics. We need to talk about how to make our lifelike greenery look real. Because I know what happens. We pull it out every year and it's like, ugh, this thing looks so bad. It's so damaged. It's, been packed away. It's been packed away for, 10 months, 11 months. And now I've got to make it look real again. So let's talk about how we can do that, how we can shape our greenery. Because I think it's really important to understand kind of the basics behind it and what we're trying to do with lifelike. I'll say the word artificial. I don't like to use that word because they are lifelike. Even the kind of what I would call it, kind of like the basic shredded PVC type of greenery, wreaths and garlands, you see a lot of that, but we can add so much to those and you can make them look so much nicer just by understanding how the real ones are made and how you can shape the artificial, the lifelike ones. So let's start with, I think, the basic, the garland. So this is a garland right here. This is how we pull it out every year, and it looks all smashed up. This doesn't look real at all. What I like to do when I pack them up each year is try and get all of them nice and tight. One, I think it saves it and preserves it, but I like to get it all in one direction. Now, at the end of Christmas, sometimes, of course, we just pack away things. We don't think about it too much, and that's fine. When you pull it out each year, just get it nice and tight and shaped like this. And then what I like to do is when you build a real wreath or a real garland, all of your greenery is kind of going in one direction. So that's what I think a lot of people miss is they go and they start shaping. They say, I want this thing to be as big as I possibly can. So they start spreading everything out as far as possible to try and cover as much space. But that's not how a real garland looks. That's not how you would build a garland. So what you want to do is keep it in this kind of V shape downward, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're just going to take these pieces and try and get them. Typically you're using a garland with a flat back surface. So you're typically, putting it on a mantle, putting it over an archway, a doorway, so many different things that you can do with them. But you want to get that kind of full effect, so you want it to pop out a little bit off the back kind of main wire, but you also want to kind of keep that kind of V shape kind of going down. Each piece kind of covers itself. If you've ever shaped a lifelike tree, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second, you will know how to kind of what they would call maybe fluffing it out, making it look nice and full. So instead of flaring it all over the place, see how that's coming together? And you can just see how that just shapes up. So we'll kind of do this whole piece here, and you can kind of see how it comes together. And all I'm doing is just keeping that downward flow, and that's how you kind of get that lifelike shape. Now you can see, maybe you'll see as you there's a gap right there. So let's get a piece just to kind of fill that in, and that's how you get that really nice full effect. It's not going to get so bulky that it's going to pop up here. I mean, we could pull these pieces all the way up here, but then when you lay it down, it's not going to look real. But if you put it like that, then it will. Now you might say, hey, on a mantelpiece, I want it to look like this, but I want it to look like it's two pieces. All you have to do is find the middle. So you find the middle here, and then you just turn everything. So one is going to go this way, and one's going to go this way, and that's how you do it. You just separate it, and you just get your lifelike greenery to do exactly what it is that you want it to do. So we'll just shape that portion that way, and then this will just turn all the other direction, and we'll shape it back the other way. Now what you will end up doing when you do this is you'll end up with a little space here in the middle where it's a little kind of bare, but typically when you're doing a mantle, a tablescape, anything like that, you're going to probably put some sort of centerpiece, and that's what we'll do when I build my tablescape here in a little bit, is we'll use a centerpiece that kind of helps fill that in. You can use another lifelike pick too. So that's as simple as it is you just get everything going this way, and now you've got your middle, and you've got all your garland going one way and all your garland going the other way. So that's how you shape a garland, those kind of traditional garlands. Same goes with a wreath. So when we do a wreath, how many of us pull these out every year and say, oh, I don't want to use this? But it's still good. The only time that I throw these away is once all the needles start falling out and it's just kind of looking shabby and bent up. This is shredded PVC, whereas some of them have a little bit more of a lifelike molded tip. I'm going to show you that here in a second. But these are still great, if they're working well. Again, same thing when I pull it out or before I pack it away, get all of the greenery going the same way. When I build a true cut green wreath, you're going to build your kind of bunches all in one direction. And so that's what you want to do here, is get everything going in one direction. That is how a wreath is supposed to be. And that's what will make it look the most realistic. And then you're just going to start pulling it apart. Again, we don't want to go and make it as big and bushy and full as we possibly can, because that is not what a wreath looks like. So that doesn't look real. But if you go and you pull it all in that same direction, and all you're doing is kind of trying to pull the pieces apart, but again, keep it as full. And so what you're doing is trying to look for those gaps. So we can see a gap right here where my finger is. So all we're trying to do is just kind of fill in those gaps. And sometimes I'll start and just go through and just do all the little back pieces first to kind of create that full effect. And then I'll just go through and just shape this up. And then always kind of just going and just making sure that it's all gonna go in that same direction. So it really goes pretty fast. What my accomplishment or what my goal is when I go to shape a piece like this is to try and touch every single piece. If I can really say, okay, I feel like I've gotten every piece untucked, I'm using all of the lifelike greenery to really make this full, then I feel like I've accomplished what I want to. If I just try and spend a second on it and get it shaped up, and there you go, you can see how full that looks and how nice and bushy it looks, and it's all going that same direction. Even sometimes I'll just kind of run my hand over it just to make sure it's all kind of still going in that same direction. So you can see the difference there. This is the side that's been shaped here, and this is the side that still needs to be done. But it's an easy way to do it. Now, you might find some wreaths or garland that are made with these, what I would call lifelike tips. So this is actually a molded plastic tip. I don't know if you can quite see. It's still got the shredded PVC in there, that traditional material, which is great. It's really used as a filler. But then you've got these lifelike pieces that are a little bit more realistic looking. They can do a lot more with it. With this shredded PVC, all you can really do is change the length and the color. There's not really much more you can do. Here you can add different colors in the interior. Needle lengths can change. You can add little side branches to it. So let's see if you can see this one branch here. I'll pull it up. So you see that? That is one branch, and it looks very realistic. It gives you more of that Fraser fir kind of look. So these are really easy to shape. In fact, I went through and tried to flatten this side down over here, and you can see that it really still looks pretty good. So here all I'm gonna try to do is use this shredded PVC, this kind of traditional material, to kind of create a filler. And then I want my lifelike tips to kind of come out and be seen. I really want those to be seen. And then of course this one's battery operated. I just accidentally turned the lights on. So that's all we're gonna do here is just make sure that my lifelike tips are really being exposed and that filler is filling in those gaps so that it looks very nice and full. Some of these lifelike tips get kind of tucked behind, so we just want to make sure those are forward facing, outward, and again, all going in that same direction. And that's how you get a really nice full looking wreath that really looks very realistic. And then of course we can add things to this. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's see, there's also some very simple little garlands that come pretty much like a cedar. So this is kind of a cedar type of representation of a wreath. I love these little small wreaths. These work great. You can add these to like your dining chairs with a little piece of ribbon, and you can just put it on your dining chair just as a little accent, because you know a lot of us don't use our dining rooms every day, but we decorate them for the holidays, and this is a great thing. You can pull it off when you have company. You can hang it off the back of the chair. Little wreaths work really, really well for centerpieces. I love this one. It's nice and thick. It's got this great kind of grapevine backdrop to it, but really nice and thick, so you can put it on a table and put a big candle on the interior of it. You can decorate it with lights on the outside, add a couple small ornaments, lots and lots of cool things to do there. But small wreaths come in really handy too. And then of course, there's garlands to match it. So when we're talking about greenery, this is that same grandest wreath that I just kind of showed you. And this one, same idea. We've got that filler that you can see here, and then we're just going to take our lifelike tips and work it straight down. And we'll use some of these when we make the tablescape. We'll have to decide which ones we're going to use. But this is a really nice full one, and you can really do a lot of different things with it. And again, it's all movable. It's all flexible. That's what I love about these, is all of a sudden I can change the direction and go back the other way if I want to. So I love these. I use them every year. What I also have really gotten into collecting are some of the smaller garlands, the lightweight garlands, like in that one example. Let me go back and see if I can see it. There it is. So that example right there, you can see that. It's just a really kind of dainty, small, light garland. It works really, really well to do lots of different things on a mantle or on a tablescape, or adding it to another garland. Here's a great little one that I grabbed. It's got white berries, some frosted kind of eucalyptus looking leaves, you know, something that you can use in the winter time frame too. Little pine cones. So these little garlands are great. This is a 5 foot. Sometimes you're gonna find them in 5, 6 feet. They're not gonna be typically as long as your typical garland, which are 9 feet. So whenever you're looking at your garland length, a little bit of planning goes a long way. So if you're like in need of something, just write down some measurements, take some notes. You know, I need lights that are gonna cover, you know, maybe you got 2 pieces of garland that wrap down your staircase. Then, okay, 2 times 9 is 18. I need 18 feet of lights. Sometimes having those numbers will save you a trip. You can make one trip and get it all done. So really, really cool little light garlands. I love collecting these. You can put them on a chandelier. You can put them on a, you know, an archway over a door leading into your bathroom, into a bedroom. You can put it on top of your, on the back of your headboard on your bed. Lots and lots of cool things to do, and that's why I love collecting these little guys, because they're so easy to use. And then even sometimes you can find just a beaded garland. We might use this in our tablescape. So these are great just to add to a tree or to an existing garland. You can put this right down the middle and kind of weave it in and out. Lots and lots of uses of garland. But that's how you kind of shape a wreath or a garland. Let me show you the tree real quick, because I think this is really helpful when you're shaping a tree. I've got one right here. So I've already shaped this side. Looks very, very nice. But I've pushed this side back up, or Haven't done this side, so I'm going to try and turn it so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Maybe I'll try even putting it up here because it's the lower branch. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to do each branch. I like to start at the bottom and work my way up. But each branch, and this is a small tree, on your bigger 7.5, 9-foot trees, you're going to have a much longer branch. I always say grab a little bit, grab a glass of wine and sit down and enjoy your tree shaping time. But this is an easy way to do it. And again, same goal, same mindset is to touch every single piece and make sure it's where I want it to be. Now, of course, when I go decorate it, I might move some things around to smush some bigger ornaments in or bigger elements. But love to get a nice full shape tree so I know it's perfect. And then when I go in to decorate it, I don't have to worry about touching anything up. So the first thing you're going to do is pull that first branch down. You're want to work in rungs. I like to put it in my stand and not screw in the screws so I can sit there and kind of spin it. But what I like to do is just flare up these back pieces. So you've got your branch, it looks like this, and then you've got all the normal, so it depends on the tree. You might have a traditional tree that has that normal shredded PVC in the background, and that's what this one has. And your whole tree might be that, and that's fine. Still same idea behind this. And so what you're going to do is you're going to pull these shredded PVC pieces up, kind of almost a fan pattern. So I've got 2 pieces to start with here in the back. So I've pulled those 2 up. And then I'm just going to keep pulling those up. But as I work towards the front of the branch, I'm going to want them to stop going straight up and start going out towards the tip. So we'll start pulling those out. And then again, what I'm trying to do here is create this really full effect back here. So once I get all the branches done, and then, so when I get all the branches done, it'll really fill in the interior. So you really won't be able to see inside the tree. And then I just basically take the lifelike tips here. This tree has a lifelike tip. Now, pretty much all of them have a specific design behind them. So this one's got 2 longer kind of sprucey pieces that come out here. I don't know if you can quite see that. And then it's got more of that Fraser fir tip. So all I'm going to do here is just space those out, pop this one, make sure it's straight. These do have a backside, so the bottom looks different than the actual top. So I want to make sure it's straight. If it's twisted, you just twist it back over. And then that's what I'm going to do to every single branch. Pop down, flare up in the back, creating that fan look. So if you've got 3 pieces, you want them kind of like that. So you create that full effect. Maybe you got 2 pieces behind it that kind of stick in behind it like that. And then separate my lifelike tips. So I've got these 2 pieces, and then there you go. The cool thing is you can also shape these a lot of different ways. You can take them and you can kind of bend them down, so you can kind of get that little bit of that kind of hanging look. So you can kind of see that. It's got that just slight curve down. So if I wasn't going to decorate this tree, I might play with kind of shaping it in a different way so that it looks different. Same thing, next branch, and you just keep working your way around. You're going to get really fast at it once you get going, and then you just pull it out, and you just do it to every single branch. And then by the time you do the whole thing, it'll look like the real thing. And that's what you want from your lifelike tree, is that really nice full look with those branches, those nice lifelike tips poking out so that you can go in and decorate it with lots of different ornaments and ribbon and different types of things like that. So that's how you shape a lifelike tree. If you ever have questions, you live in our area, you want to come by and see us during Christmas time, and we will show you right there on our full-size trees how to decorate how to shape a lifelike tree. It's very easy. It's a simple thing that you can do to come in and just kind of learn from us. We shape, 45, 50 of them a year, if not more. I mean, we've got probably over 100 trees standing when it comes to our decorated trees. Now, I will tell you a little tip here. If you put a ton of ornaments and ribbon and different, maybe bigger elements into your trees, don't worry about shaping it too much. Touch up the tips, but when you go in to decorate, you're probably pushing everything aside to get all of your ornaments in. So a lot of times with our trees, because we put so many decorations in them, we do not go in and really shape those trees. But the ones that are undecorated, we do. And I like to start that way. Gives me the sense of like, okay, I know it's perfect. Now I can go decorate it. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is lifelike picks. Love these. Berries, fir, Fraser fir, cedar, very similar to what we just talked about with the greenery, but having a kind of stockpile of lifelike picks is one of the easiest things to use when decorating, because you can use them in so many different ways, and I'm going to show you kind of some different examples of how you can do that. So one is, I absolutely love this cedar. The cedar is so realistic looking. It feels kind of realistic looking. It just looks so nice. And these are great to use in so many different ways. Even just a simple kind of, you tuck this one in and like this, and you've got yourself a nice little kind of piece that you can work off of. And easy to add these to a wreath, a garland, a centerpiece, a mantelpiece, and it just adds some fullness, and I just love that green. I think it looks so realistic, and just love these. So you got to pick up some cedar. It's great to have, and you can use them in so many different ways. So that's one of my all-time favorite picks, but they come in so many different styles. Love these kind of bottle brush ones. So this adds a little bit more of that rustic feel. So if you're looking for kind of more of a rustic look, this is really cool because it's got this little pine that's shredded on the tips. Of course, this one has some pine cones added to it. So we got a little bit of a longer pine cone, a couple smaller ones down here. And I love lifelike picks because they're flexible. You can change them, you can manipulate them, you can bend them, you can do different things, whether you're hanging them, whether you're putting them in a pot, and it's easy to just go and straighten them back out again. So use these a lot. So these look great. You can put them back to back and stick them in a vase or some sort of glass element that you might have, and you've just spruced it up for the holiday season. You can even use a lot of these outside. So they make great things that you can add to your pots. If you're missing a plant or you need to fill it in, a great option here. But these are really cool to use inside. Of course, berries, gotta have some berries. It's always nice to add those colors. You know, we're talking all about green so far, but you definitely need some berries. You can get some of the harder ones or the softer ones. The softer ones typically work a little bit better inside. The harder ones work a little bit better outside. But these are really easy to use and add a lot of color. And you can break them up. I've even taken these little pieces, these little wires, and cut them up. So this pick right here has 3 little pieces that come out of it. You can go cut those off with some wire cutters, and then you can use those in a wreath. You know, a smaller wreath that you might be decorating with. So very, very versatile to have some berries for sure. And then, of course, there's tons of them. I mean, I just grabbed a couple of my favorites this year. This is a little bit of a frosted kind of, almost kind of like a broadleaf. It's got a little bit of a cypress look to it, but it's a really nice little iced leaf. And this is cool because it's a bundle. So you get 3 little tiny picks in here, each one kind of being about that size. So you can keep them together and make this nice big display where you can kind of shape them out and fan them out, so you get this nice full effect. Or you can break them up and use the smaller pieces in different places. So this kind of iced look is nice. You can get them flocked, you can get them iced, eucalyptus, you know, the list goes on and on of what you can use. You can also get some really kind of monster ones. Look at these guys. These things are huge. That same cypress, really cool looking. And the reason I grabbed these is, you might say, what in the world would you do with something that big? Well, what I would do is on a smaller mantle or a tablescape or a centerpiece, this is a really easy technique. You take one, you lay it down, you take the other one, and you kind of poke it in, and it covers up the stem, gives you a centerpiece, and again, gives you that lifelike look, because this is how you would build it if you were using cut greens. So they go one way, they go the other way. This would look great up on a mantle, over top of a doorway. You can put a nice big bow on it and put this outside on your windows, on your window sashes. So really, really lots of cool ways to use picks. I definitely recommend collecting them and having a good source of them. So that you can use them throughout the season in different areas. And that's the cool thing about decorating for the holidays too, is you know, you can always use your lifelike elements in different ways each season. So Barbara said, what green picks can you use outside, like put in a pot or urn? So there's a lot of options. Really pretty much all of them will. They're all gonna be metal inside, so over time the metal will rust. But all of these lifelike picks, like the pine, this is all what you would see in an outdoor greenery too. So a garland, a wreath that you can use outside, it's all gonna be the same. All of them have metal that are wrapped with a thread basically to kind of hold in that greenery. And so over time that metal will rust, for sure. I can't guarantee it's gonna last forever, but it'll last a good amount of time, and eventually that rust will eat through some of the metal and it'll break. I don't know what the estimate, I would say probably I've used some outside for 5, 6, 7 years because we're not using them year round. We're only using them for 2 months. What I will recommend, Barbara, is when I bring them in, I'll put them in my garage and kind of let them dry out before I pack them away. So I'm not packing them away with a lot of moisture in it. But yeah, use them outside for sure. Some of them are really kind of a little bit more specifically designed for inside, but almost all of them can be used outside. So definitely a good question. And I'll show you, in a future webinar, I will talk about actually using cut greens that you can use outside in your outdoor urns and stuff. All right, let's talk about, I think I covered all my lifelike picks there that I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about adding texture and dimension. We're gonna do a lot of this when we build the tablescape, but really love adding lights. There are so many great lights out there. I'm going to show you a few examples of some of my favorite lights. So there's a lot of different options for lights out there. Adding metals like a lantern or glass, there's different textures, really help kind of break up the monotony of just a lifelike garland. Adding these different elements, ornaments work really, really well. Ornaments we think of, hang them on a tree. Doesn't always have to be hanging on a tree. It also can be something that you do with ribbon. That's why I put the picture of the ribbon in there, is because ribbon really adds a great texture, a different dimension, a different level in your decorating. So ribbon, lights, add some different elements like metals, ornaments, glass, all of those different things when you use that. And a lot of times you can do that with your year-round decor. So let me show you that with a couple different examples. Let's start with lights. Lights are cool. It's one of my favorite things. You can do so many different things with lights. From even using some of those outdoor lights. This is really an outdoor inspired light, but I love using this inside. I know on your camera, on the screen, it might look that it's black. It's actually a really dark hunter green, but these work great. This is a cluster light. So this has about 4 to 5 lights per inch. So you're gonna get, show you the box here. These are made by Lumineo. These are really cool lights. Oh, my box is disappearing in the light. But this has 768 LEDs on 20 feet. So it's only 20 feet long. What's really cool about it too is they don't tangle. So each year when they come out, you just pull them and they just come untangled. Look at that. And you've got this great kind of band of light. It also comes with functions. So all you have to do is push the button on the plug and you get some twinkle functions and different things that you can play with. So these are really fun lights to use for the holiday season. So I love using these. I might use these, but I probably won't on a tablescape, but on a big mantle, on a garland that's going down my staircase and you need that length, great thing. Think about that example that I used earlier. If you have 2 9-foot garlands that you kind of tie in together to kind of do your staircase in your home or outdoor on your front porch, these wrapped into a garland look easy or are easy and look amazing. So you just put this right down in the middle of the garland, wrap your garland around a little bit, and you get this great full effect without having to wrap all the way through. I'll show you a quick example of how to do that. So you take your garland, right? And you basically just space it out in the middle. And then I'll try and do this as easy as I can. And then you just take these lights and you just put them right down through the middle of the garland like that. And look at that, just like that, it looks pretty good. And then all I'm gonna do is just take a couple pieces of garland and just kind of tie it in. Once you tie it in, it just wraps it in. You do that all the way down, and it's super, super simple and gives you an extra 2 feet to kind of play with and kind of do maybe a little bobbing and weaving here and there. But it's a really, really easy light. Cluster lights are great. There's another cluster light that I love a lot, and it is, let me get this one to stop blinking on me here. And it is not tangle-free for sure, but it's Invisilights. Look at this ball of light here. Invisilights I absolutely love. Invisilights, that's what we call them. You might hear them as fairy lights, micro LED lights, but they're basically a tiny little LED diode that are built into a flexible wire. But this one is a cluster light. These are really cool. I brought both styles in so that you can kind of see both, but this is the cluster micro light. Now this is also connectable, so you can connect, I think it's up to 5 sets, 8 functions, 5 sets. So you can do 5 sets of these. This one is 15 feet in length. which is a great size. If you've got a 9-foot garland, 15 feet's not too long. You can add it into a garland. It's really, really easy to do. These do tangle a little bit more, so be careful when you're unwinding them, that you get a nice straight line. But you can just see all those lights, and they have all of these little kind of, arms that come out. So you can see each one has a little arm that pops out. It's very irregular, but you get this kind of cool effect, whether you're putting it in a garland or you're putting it on a wreath. It really helps minimize the amount of time that you're going in and wrapping things and doing different things with them. I probably will use these when I make my tablescape. I absolutely love these lights. It's one of my favorite light sets out there. But it also comes in a straight line. So this one is 270 lights on 90 feet. So great for decorating a small tree that maybe doesn't have lights on it. Great for decorating maybe a large ficus plant that you have that's growing. So, a lot of us are gardeners out there, and so you might want to put some lights on some of your everyday kind of indoor houseplants. This is a great set for that. Another cool one, since we're talking about houseplants, is I love this one, and I think there's a lot of different applications for this one. So it used to come with a very kind of, it's that Invisalite wire, and it just kind of was flopping all over the place. But now they come on this really kind of very strong wire that you can shape, and you get all of these arms. I'll show you. I'm going to turn it on. So there you go. You get all of these arms that you can play with. Look at that. So cool. You can put this in a tree. You can put this in a lantern. You can do so many cool things with this. I love to add them to a poinsettia. You know how I mentioned I wasn't going to bring anything green in here, anything alive? Well, this is my one, because I absolutely love this. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but this is really cool. You take this, it's a battery operated, so you basically just find a way in without damaging the poinsettia. And I'm just going to stick that in there, and then you take all of these arms, and I like to just twirl them. So just create this kind of like curly Q effect. So you see that? And then you just take each one and just kind of wrap it around. And don't think about it too much. Just take it, let them just kind of do their own thing, and just wrap them until you got it exactly how you want it. Again, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you can kind of get an idea of what you can do with these lights. You can have them popping all over the place. You can have them kind of bobbing and weaving in throughout the branches, sticking out at different angles. And there's just so many cool things that you can do with these lights. So not only does it add a little bit of a silver element, but it adds some light to your holiday plants. And this one is actually something that we carry kind of year round. It's called, I think it's called a plant light. So it's got a picture, well, you can't see it. My blue screen is blurring it out. But it's called a plant light, and it's got all those wires. Really cool, battery operated, and you can put it on a timer too. So really, really neat light there. I think I'm done talking about lights. I can talk about lights for a long time. So I just wanted to give you some of my favorites and just to add them to your decor. Now, we talked about adding metals and woods and different types of textures. So a lantern, very simple, easy way to do this is a lot of your lanterns open. Of course, we think, let's put a candle in there. Well, we can, of course, put a candle in there. So I could slip a candle in, and it looks great. I wouldn't have to do much more. But I also could add some ornaments. Think about different textures, different elements. Maybe it's not a candle. Maybe it's a lifelike pick, like this. This is a great one. It's got kind of this holly boxwood with berries. So I'm just going to take this pick. I'm going to bend the bottom kind of up and back, and just so it's kind of a little tucked behind it. So like that. And then I'm just going to put it in there, just to add some greenery. And then I could add some ornaments around the base if I want to hide that a little bit more. I could maybe take it and wrap some of that greenery around it. So we could take maybe a couple of these branches and just kind of force them down. This is why I love lifelike picks, because you can just kind of manipulate it and change it. And that creates a little bit more of a bunch down at the bottom. So you see that where my fingers are? And then we can put that back in. And then I could add some of those Invisalites to it. I probably wouldn't use this string, but obviously a little battery operated set. Tuck some of those in there, and then close the door, and you've got yourself a nice focal point that's really easy to do, and you can set that anywhere. Of course, a candle looks great, but add some different things. Think outside the box. Think about different things that you can do and different elements that you can add, and it's just an easy way to decorate. All right, let's go on. We're gonna get to the point where I'm gonna build some stuff on my table here so you can see everything kind of come together as one. All right, other elements, think outside the box. Candles, of course, make a great addition to anything during the holiday season. Textiles, I mentioned pillows, I mentioned throws, use those. Wood elements, natural elements, pine cones, birch, even just branches from outside that you could wrap some lights on, really add a different texture. If you're making kind of a theme tree and you want to use those lifelike picks to add different dimension, I love that. But even just adding some light little branches that maybe have come off of a tree that you can put some extra lights onto, or even just hang an ornament. One of the coolest things I've ever seen, and I probably should have done it, maybe I'll do it in my next webinar, is taking just a branch and wrapping those Invisilights, those micro LED lights, all the way around the branch and putting it in a vase with a single ornament just hanging from it. It's very simple, very modern, and kind of a different look. All right, let's talk about candles real first. I'm going to use those, but I have a couple different things that I definitely recommend when you're decorating inside to use candles. First, we'll talk about window candles. Of course, we all love that look, putting a window candle in every single window. If you haven't gotten these, you got to get these. These are the best window candles out there. Trust me, I love them. I use them. I love to use them year round. They do take 4 batteries. If there's a downfall, it takes 4 batteries per window candle, so you got to add up all your windows. I think I've got 11 windows, so it's a lot of batteries, but it's battery operated, so I don't have to worry about a plug. I don't have to worry about plugging it in, unplugging it, waiting for the timer to kick in. This is a built-in timer. This is what the box looks like. It's probably going to disappear. So this has a built-in timer. I want to say it's 6 hours. Yep. So 6 hours on, 18 hours off. What's really cool about this is the bulb. This is a really neat bulb. So what you can see, I twist it on. That starts the timer. So the best thing to do is get all 10 of them, or as many as you need for each window. Set them up on your table and get all the batteries ready. That's off. That's on. So now my timer started. So what you would do is line them all up and just twist, 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 and then they all come on right at the same time. But it's got an automatic timer as soon as you set it. But what's really cool about this candle is it's got a directional LED bulb. So you're going to see it on my hand. See how it's got like that kind of spotlight effect, like it's a lighthouse. So as I spin it, it goes away, comes back. Goes away, comes back. So this has that directional bulb. And what you do is you face that outside towards the street because you want it to be bright from the window when you're looking at the house. But inside, it's got a nice kind of warm white light. So it's a really, really cool window candle, and it's got another really cool function in it. A lot of us have those window frames like inside the window. So this allows you to adjust the height. So you can go from this height, all you do is pop this down out the bottom. There's a little rubber stopper on it. Pull it out, put it back on, and you just got yourself another 2 inches of height. These look great actually in a tablescape, maybe in your home, but I love them in a window. So if you're looking for a candle for your window, this is the one you want to get. It's just called Celestial Lights Window Candle. It's really cool. We have them here at McDonald Garden Center. It is the #1 candle for your windows. It is awesome. All right, a couple other things. You can get a lot of these really cool kind of what I call virtual candles. Of course, I'll show you my favorite at the end, but this is really nice. Built out of real wax. It's got a kind of a wick up here at the top that's really easy to use. It's got batteries. Let's see if I can get this one to start. Pull out the tab. There we go. So you can see that candle, and it'll have a little bit of a flicker to it. Once it gets going, you can start to see that going. I don't know if you can quite see it on your camera, but these are really cool because it adds a different element. It's real wax, so you don't want to store these. I will tell you, you don't want to store these in your attic if it gets really, really hot, because they will melt. It's real wax. So you want to keep it maybe in a garage or somewhere where that doesn't get quite as hot. So I know most of us probably store our candles in a separate area rather than the attic that can get really, really hot in the summer. But these are cool, and they come in different sizes, so you can do a little grouping. We're going to talk about odds and grouping a lot here as I start to build my tablescape. But these are really nice candles, great little look. These are new to us as well. These are really nice. These come in glass. It's real wax, but it's already built into a glass, and it's got your battery right down here. You can turn this on. It's got that same kind of wick, which is really kind of indestructible. And so if you're looking for that kind of glass look, but you want that real candle look, this has it all built into one. And they also come, these are made by Lumineo, they come in 3 different sizes as well. So you can get the small, the medium, and the large. and you make yourself a nice little grouping with this window or with this candle. Look great in a window too. If you've got a smaller spot, you can do groupings in each window. Really nice candle. And then of course, my all-time favorite, the Simplex candle. Simplex candles are the most realistic virtual candle out there. It is so cool. So I've got this one here. I'll turn it on for you. I don't know how much you can see of that bulb. There we go. You can start to see that kind of light up, but it moves by way of magnets. So most of your virtual, artificial, lifelike candles out there, this is real wax, battery operated, takes 2C batteries, built-in timer. You can actually get a remote. You can buy a remote that works with it, so it's really nice. You can set it up on your mantle and just use the remote to change it and do different things with it. But what I love about this is it's magnetized. A lot of them out there use a fan, so it actually has a sound to it, so you're going to hear that fan kind of running. But this works by magnets, and you're going to see it move very irregularly. Sometimes it'll kind of almost come to a pause, and then it'll start to kind of get kicking again. There it goes. It just starts moving. It's got a bluish hue down at the base of the flame that works its way to a warm white, which is just like a real light. It's really, really nice. It's got a 360-degree wick. So every way that I turn it, it always looks like it's on, no matter if you're on the high side or the low side. This one's got a little bit of like kind of a melted facade here on the top. But this is a really, really great way to use a virtual candle because this one looks good from every angle. A lot of them have a little light that shines up from underneath. It's got a flapper that blows from the fan. And if you don't catch it at the right angle, that thing disappears. So these are amazing Simplex candles, and you can get them here at McDonald Garden Center. I've raved long enough about them. But I am going to use these for my centerpiece for sure because I love them. So I've got 3 different sizes here. And typically when I build a tablescape, a focal point, I like to do things in odds. I like to do things that have different heights, and I like to have a focal point. And that's what I usually will start with is my focal point. So I've got 3 different size candles here, and I saw Barbara had a question. I bought 6 and have them on my table ready to light up tonight. They look great in the window. Bought 48 pack batteries at BJ's. Yep, you can go buy some pretty cheap batteries. They last about probably 25 to 30 days, somewhere in that time frame. It's supposed to be right about a month. Towards that end of that time frame, they start to get a little bit duller. So I'll usually buy enough to get them through at least 2 months because I like to decorate about mid-November. So great, Barbara. I love that you love them. Trust me, if you want the best window candle, it is the best. All right. Do you want the best table candle? Simplex candles are your best. So I like to start with a centerpiece, and this could be done super, super simple. So we're going to start simple. We're going to expand out and see how big we can get this thing. So remember those little cedar picks that I absolutely love? For just a little, end table, maybe in the bathroom, maybe in a guest bedroom, maybe somewhere where you don't want to spend a lot of time, a lot of energy kind of really decorating, just adding a little bit of a lifelike pick with a grouping of candles. Well, can't quite see that, can you? So just adding that little bit of that greenery. So we'll just put it kind of here so you can see it. But I would take this and probably put it, in here, just like that. And just doing something simple like that is very easy. And add just a simple element like an ornament. So just adding a little ornament, very simple, very modern, easy to do, takes very, very little time. Now, you might get a little bigger and you might say, well, up on my mantle, I want to do something, but maybe a lot of us have TVs on our mantle. So a great thing to think about is try not to be super, super symmetrical. Whether you're building a tablescape, an end table, a coffee table, a mantle, whatever it is that you're doing, doesn't always have to be perfectly symmetrical. The one that I will build today probably will be symmetrical because I got kind of a limited space here. But think about a mantle that you could take a garland, say this one, and you could run it over top of your mantle, and on one side let it really hang down off of one side, and then on the other side maybe it ends just at the end of the mantle. So we could have this really drape over one side, and then on the other side it just ends right there, and then have one that drapes on the other side. That gives you a asymmetrical feel. It'll give you a weighted side on one side that you can maybe hang some different elements in, like a cluster of ornaments. And then on the other side, you could put a small little tabletop tree, like that little tree that I used earlier. You could put that on the other side, down on the hearth, down next to the fireplace. You could build another element that kind of connects it all. Think asymmetrical, because sometimes you got that big TV, and so what I'll do is I'll spread these out, and then they don't really look like a grouping anymore. So I'll maybe put these two over here because they're good height differentials, and then this one over here with maybe that lantern. So I could bring a small little tree in. You know, so you can add those kind of elements, and it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. I really urge people to try and fight that symmetry, because symmetrical, you have to be symmetrical. So then you got to have two ornaments. Let's say you break an ornament. Oh, now I can't be symmetrical. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. I'll probably be pretty symmetrical and pretty traditional as I build this kind of centerpiece. All right, so now that I've got the idea of what I want to do as my focal point, as my centerpiece of my tablescape, mantle, whatever it is that we're building, then of course I need some greenery to add. So I'm going to use that traditional garland. We're just going to use this kind of very traditional garland. I'm going to put this right about here. I'm going to get this kind of on my table here so it won't move on me. I'm going to just, for demonstration purposes only, I'm just going to wrap it underneath here so that it doesn't move on me. And you know what? Another good tip is I really like to hang the garland. So sometimes I will hang my garland. We're going to put these off to the side here for a minute. Because hanging it will allow you to kind of be able to sit there and see it and kind of shape it. So remember I talked about building that center section. So I've got my center right about, let's see if we can get this a little bit more this way. There we go. Center's right here in the center. We'll get this nice and tight down on the end so that it stays and doesn't shift on me, and I think you all can see a majority of that. All right, so this is going this direction already. This side, I need to get flipped. I need to get turned. So I'm just going to use my hand and be fairly aggressive with it. Try not to rip it apart here and get it going the other direction. All right, so now we'll shape this real quick. We know how to do that. We've learned how to shape it real quick. We're keeping that V. We're not tucking it up. I'm not going to spend a ton of time shaping it because I'm going to add a fair amount to it. I just want to make sure that all of my pieces are kind of going in the same direction and that they're not on the underside because I want it to lay flat. So we're just going to do that, and I'll just do it till I get off camera there so you kind of get the idea of it. We'll keep this in this area right here. But you could do this all the way down, you know, a table. All right, so we got that side done. We'll get this side shaped up, making sure all my pieces are being used efficiently and effectively and going in the right direction. And then we've got our center right here. So I'm a little bit off, but it's not bad. All right, so we got that set up. Now this is where my candles are gonna go. You can do lots of different things. It doesn't have to be 3 candles. I love these little bottle brush trees. These happen to be battery operated, so I'd have to find a way to hide these little ones, but you can get them battery operated or not. And again, playing with height and playing with odd numbers. Whenever you talk to an interior designer or a landscape designer, they're gonna talk about odds. We always wanna do things in odds. So we're gonna group in odds. We're always gonna decorate in odds. So just adding a little element like that to a centerpiece would look great. You can kind of see, I love this kind of gold champagne look. Works really, really well. You can do just one thing too. If you're gonna do one thing as a centerpiece, maybe it's a lantern, maybe it's a glass bowl full of ornaments and throw some lights in. Love that look too. But this, I usually would say go pretty big, you know? So a big centerpiece like this would be really, really nice because you can add lights to it. It's a mercury glass tree, but you can add lights to it, or you can just keep it simple. It's nice and big and kind of, you know, encompassing in a focal point. So I don't really need to add much to this, but this would work great as a centerpiece just by itself. Works really, really well for like an end table and smaller spaces too. But because I got this big table and I want to fill it up, I'm going to use those candles. I've already decided on that. Sometimes you might want to put something for the candles to sit on, especially if you're using 2 pieces of garland. And I could do that. I could take some wire cutters and cut this garland right here and space it out, maybe put a little bit of curve into it if I wanted to. So again, think outside the box, think about all the different opportunities that you have there. But another great thing is just to use a dish, you know, just taking a dish like this. If I cut that garland, I could put this dish down, I could add some ornaments to it, and then I could put my candles right on top of that. Even a placemat. You know, of course, this is a very fancy placemat. You might have a table runner that you want to use underneath it to kind of set that tone off, especially if you have like a dark wood table. You might want something like red or kind of in that cream color that you can allow your greenery to pop off of it, or you get a different color greenery. Maybe you do flocked, but a nice, tablecloth or a placemat like this would add a great little place to bring and put your candles on, just to add a different element. For sake of today, I'm probably not going to do that. I might try and use this plate here. And I'm going to put that garland right over the top of it, just because it adds a little bit. I know you can't quite see it, but it's there, and it gives me just a little bit of that ability to kind of say, this is my focal point, this is an area that I'm working on, and it gives me just a different texture. And remember I talked about adding different textures? Now I've got this ceramic plate that's really cool. It's a serving dish. I'm not going to use it for this holiday season because I'm going to use it for my tablescape. So I am going to put that in there. And again, play with it. Kind of think outside the box, think about different opportunities that you got. All right, so we've got that in place. I think I'm going to go ahead and add my candles so that I've got them in place. And this is where I'll just kind of move my greenery around just a little bit. And then I'll take that piece and pop it right in there. And there we go. So we're off to the races. Now we've got our centerpiece. That's the hardest part, right? The hardest part is getting that. Now, I love light, so I'm going to add some light. Remember I mentioned these awesome lights? We're going to add these for sure. So be careful not to get these tangled up here. But I love this cluster light. It's very small. It's not overpowering, so it's not going to overpower anything. It's not going to blind you at night when they're on. And I love how easy it is to add them. So all I'm going to do here is just separate the greenery and just lay them down and try and get them down on the inside, because you could take a long strand of these and just bob and weave and let them kind of move all over the place. In this case, I really want them to kind of settle down into the greenery because we want to add some different elements. I want to show you lots of different tips and tricks. So all I'm going to do here is just separate that greenery and get them down inside. And just look at that. It looks like it was built right into it. Now, to get them really nice and stable, I'm going to take a couple pieces every so often, and I'm going to take them and just twist them over top of each other. Take it, twist them. So I'm keeping that same shape, not changing anything. I'm just kind of trying to get those lights to really settle right in. And that way they won't shift and move on me either once I have them in the place that I want them to be in. And I'm really not going to go and touch any of those much more than that. It's very, very simple, very easy way of decorating with lights. I love these little compact lights, these little cluster lights. Some people might call them crab lights. This is a micro LED, but that crab light is how they're built. They've got all those little arms off of it. And it just adds a lot of light to a small section. So nice and simple and not overpowering. So love the way it's coming together already. Now I need to add some different textures and different looks. Love ornaments. Go and find a couple ornaments. You don't need to get a bunch of them either. So what I did was I went and picked some gold ornaments, some that have some white to tie in the white kind of look, some straight gold ornaments, and I also went to try and get different sizes. So let me put this together so you can see kind of what I was thinking there. White with some gold dots on it, a straight gold ornament, but much bigger. Then I found this other one that's kind of similar size to the white one, but it kind of gives a little bit of that silvery effect, but it's also got a little gold in it. So we got that one. And then I found this little cluster of ornaments, which is really nice. So a little bit more on that glossy kind of, shimmery side. Looks great as a cluster already. And then I even found another smaller gold one. So I'm playing with size, so I want different sizes. And then I got two of each because I'm going to do some symmetry, even though I said try not to. Hey, Julia. And so I'm going to try and not do symmetry, or I said don't do symmetry all the time, but I am going to do it this time just because of the space I'm working in. But I went and got these, and then I'm just going to play with these in here in this kind of garland. So we'll drop those down. Usually you're working from big to small. So I'm going to take this bigger ornament and work it into this garland here. And all I'm going to do is just pop it right over a piece of my lifelike greenery just so I know it's going to get tied in there really well. And it is glass, so I don't want it to be banging around or moving all over the place. So there we go, that one. And then I'll usually work down in size. So then I've got the white one. that will kind of pop in right there. And then I might actually do away with this one just because I'm running out of window space here. So we're going to do this one, the smaller one. And that adds that gold as well. And then we'll add this little grouping of 3 little small gold ornaments down here to the end. There we go. All right, let's do the same to the other side. Maybe, actually I came up with another idea, and this is the thing, you just kind of keep thinking, how can I use it all? You can always take it away too. So here I'm going to get maybe a little asymmetrical. I've got a smaller here, so I'm going to put this ornament up on the dish. And that's what I thought about with this ornament. Maybe I'm going to pop this one right in here. Still want to see that greenery, but just to kind of fill up some of that space. Even though I know you won't be able to see this, I've got an empty space here on the back. Then I'm going to pop this other one, and then I'll use another one back there too. So then we're just going to go down the line. We're going to copy ourselves. We've got gold. We got the white with the gold dots. We'll just add that one in. And I'm using the stems to kind of be able to make sure that I hold them in place. You know, if I were doing this to really, really set it and forget it, then I might take some of the ornament hangers off, some of the rope, different things, and really work it in. So that way it doesn't kind of roll around and move on me. And then this one right here, the little gold ornaments. So you can kind of see those, and they kind of tie it all together. All right, so now we've added this kind of gold element. Now we could add, we've gone very glitzy and glamoury. I love these lifelike picks. If we wanted to bulk this up, we could add something like this. It would be very simple. I'm not kind of going more on the glam side and less on the kind of rustic side, but gold works pretty well with rustic too. So these pine cones would work really well. You can get just straight pine cone picks. This could be an option of billowing this out and making it bigger. We could add that cedar for some greenery. So we could always kind of add this around and in here if we wanted to just kind of bulk this up and add some different fresh green in there. It's another option. And of course, can't be Christmas without a little bit of red, so we could always add a little bit of red to it if we wanted to as well. So just adding a couple berries to it would really, really be nice to brighten it kind of up a little bit. So we could add a little bit of red. And these are so easy to use because you can pick them in, and then if you don't like it, you can always go back and take them out. All right, but also ribbon. So this is kind of, I think, and I did talk about, you know, using this beaded garland just to drop through there, just to add a different color. So if I were going to go more on the natural, I might have added that pine, and then I might add some of these berries. Because I'm going more on the glamour side and more on the glitzy kind of gold side, that very kind of cool look, I'm going to add some ribbon for texture. Now, it could be gold, could be red. I really like this kind of fabric-y ribbon that's very kind of sheer, so you can see through it, right? So you can see my hand behind it, but it's really easy to use. Now, what's not easy to do is to take one whole piece and try and make it look like it's all throughout there. So what I'm going to do is show you one of my favorite tricks, which will kind of ruin your bolt, but trust me, you'll use it, and ribbon's not very expensive, and you can use it in lots of different ways. And I'm just going to take it and just cut, and I'm not going to think about too much of like how much the length is, but I'm just going to cut a piece of it. And then all I'm going to do is just kind of pinch the ends like this. So we'll just kind of pinch it, and then we're just going to kind of tuck it in. And just like that, it looks like it goes in and comes out another location. So again, don't think about the length. You know, it could be short, it could be long, and just cut it. And then we're just going to add another piece. Pinching it and just tucking it in. Just adds that little simple element, that texture, that textile feel to it. I'm going to go with a little short piece here for the end. And put it over top of the light so the lights kind of gleam through. Just is so easy to do. It's one of the easiest tips that you can use. This is great for trees. You can do this for trees. You can do it for you know, wreaths and garlands. It's so easy to do. You're just kind of pinching it and kind of tucking it in. And it looks like it comes in and it looks like it goes back out. So it's gone back down, it disappears, and then it pops back up in another spot. Get this red ribbon out of the way so it's not in our way. Pinch it, looking for a spot to tuck it in there. There we go. And then our last little tiny piece here that we need. So again, just gonna pinch it and just tuck it in. Really, really works well with wreaths. I mean, a lot of people, I think, really want to add ribbon and movement and flow through the wreaths and garlands. And it's just so simple to do that. And it looks like it's going right through the entire thing. And then you might think, should I add a little piece in here? I think I do want to add just a little piece just to tie it all the way through into my centerpiece here. And there you have it. Got a little bit of ribbon running through the whole thing. Very simple, very elegant. Looks great on a tablescape, on a mantle. These are the elements that we're thinking of. Height, play with height. You can get it a lot of different ways, whether it's candles, whether it's the little trees. You know, you can do so many different things, whether it's glass jars filled with ornaments. Get some pillar glass jars, fill them with different size ornaments, create a look or a theme or an idea. I love candles. Add some light, it adds that different dimension, that different texture. Ribbon really helps set it all together and brings it all together. Ornaments don't have to hang on a tree. They can go and be used in so many different ways. And of course, your picks, your lifelike picks. You can just do so many different things when it comes to these guys. They're so versatile. Collect them, use them year after year. They're so easy. You gotta have them to create your displays, and then change it up every year. Try different things. Try not to be symmetrical like I did. Try asymmetry. Try heavy on one side, a little lighter on the other side. You know, maybe like I really love that look. I think that's what I'm gonna do this year on my mantle is really drape one side heavy, and then on the other side, use something like a little lifelike tree or maybe some birch poles in a pot and just really kind of set it off to kind of create an unbalanced but balanced look. So think outside the box. I hope this helps you. Add light, add ribbon, add textiles, add different looks and dimensions and feels, and have fun because it's the holiday season and each year you can be creative and be different and do different things. So have fun with it and enjoy it. I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me get to my end screen here and say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for joining me. It's been a fun hour, a little bit longer than an hour, but I hope you all enjoyed this. We hope to see you here at McDonald Garden Center for our holiday decor season. It's time to start decorating. Get out there and decorate, and I hope these tips help you decorate for the holiday season, and we'll see you next time. I don't see any other questions, so have a great time. Bye, everybody. Merry Christmas.